Outer Wilds is a game that sticks with you long after you've finished it. It keeps you up at night asking existential questions like, what is the meaning of life? Is mortality inevitable? And don't the planets and the sun eliminate so many angles to shoot the probe to? Ah, the mysteries of the universe. Luckily, the Outer Wilds subreddit has the answers. Gravity slingshot, this gets asked basically every week. Wow, it really does. Gravity slingshot, this picture worth 53 upvotes. Gravity slingshot, gravity slingshot, gravity slingshot, gravity slingshot, gravity slingshot. And just for the engagement bait, let's ask AI, which is going to steal the answer from Reddit anyways. Gravity slingshot! What's everyone talking about? What's gravity slingshot? Let's take a deep dive into this rabbit hole. The probe in Outer Wilds fires in a random direction every loop. In the game, the probe is not affected by astral bodies and can magically go through them, though there is actually a tiny chance to hit the player or the player's ship. But as far as the story is concerned, the probe is not magical, and in some loops it crashes into the sun or the planets, especially Giant's Deep, around which the probe cannon orbits. So then, if these astral bodies block the probe from reaching the eye, would the project simply fail? Well, not if the probe can get launched in just the right trajectory, such that it is gravity slingshotted around the planet. And it seems that the consensus is, yes, it's possible. Question answered. Case closed. Stop asking, please. But since YouTube videos need to be 8 minutes long to get a mid-roll ad, I'm going to play around in the game and see if I can demonstrate this effect for you. A video is worth a million MS Paint doodles, after all. First, let's establish how fast the probe moves. It varies between 350 and 750 meters per second, depending on which direction the cannon is pointing when the probe fires. So now let's simulate the probe with our ship by coasting at a similar speed. Let's see if we could reach the eye if the eye was on the exact opposite side of the sun. We'll point at the sun's horizon going about 500 meters per second and observe from the map view. The trajectory is altered, and so we are traveling to a point that originally appeared to be blocked by the sun. Pretty cool, right? We can do this around the other planets too. Keep in mind that these planets do have atmosphere, even the Twins and Brittle Hollow, so we can't get too close. But the big hurdle for the probe is Giant's Deep. From the orbital probe cannon's point of view, Giant's Deep blocks out a huge number of the probe's possible trajectories. And if the eye is on the exact other side, it's going to require one heck of a slingshot. Since we know that slower trajectories are going to slingshot more, let's go at about 300 meters per second to be extra conservative. That was as close as I could possibly get to Giant's Deep without slowing down in the atmosphere. Maybe we can try going a little slower? As close as possible? As I've hopefully convinced you, this is not really going to work. There's a clear limit to how close the probe can get to Giant's Deep. If it enters the atmosphere or water, it will slow down too much. But what if the probe could go slower? There is a speed slow enough such that the probe's trajectory does bend around Giant's Deep. But now we're facing the opposite problem that Mallow and Avens wrestled with. Just how fast does the probe need to be in order to reach the eye within 22 minutes? Well, a few fans have tried to estimate how far away the eye is, and the best estimate is, well, mine. So let's use that one. 320 kilometers. In order to travel 320,000 meters in 22 minutes, the probe would need to have an average speed of 240 meters per second. And so even if we slow down to 240 meters per second, it's just not enough. Some simple geometry shows that we're missing this hypothetical eye location by dozens of kilometers. If the probe could detect the eye from that far away, the Ash Twin project would have succeeded after just a few hundred probe launches. Okay, let's take a different tack. Gravity in Outer Wilds is simulated a little differently from real-life physics. In fact, a lot differently. So could this be possible if the simulation was just more accurate? Well, we can do the math assuming real-world physics. So first of all, the name for the kind of trajectory the probe goes on around Giant Steep is called hyperbolic. It's like an elliptical orbit, except we will never reach a point where we start falling back towards the planet or the sun. For a hyperbolic trajectory, we can use the formula v equals square root gm over a, where v is the speed at the far end of the trajectory where gravity is negligible, g is the universal gravitational constant, m is the mass of Giant Steep, and a is the quote-unquote semi-major axis. So first of all, we can estimate the mass of Giant Steep using its radius and the density of water. It's probably about 500 billion kilograms. To be conservative, we could say 10 trillion kilograms. It's not really going to make a big difference. And we can find the semi-major axis by approximating our hyperbolic trajectory. Draw straight lines from the far ends of the trajectory to the points tangent to Giant Steep, then connect them with a semicircle. This will give us a very conservative estimate for the semi-major axis. Plug everything into our formula, including our gravitational constant. We can see that in order to achieve this trajectory, the probe would need to be extremely slow. Giant Steep just isn't massive enough to significantly affect the probe's trajectory. But could there be another way? We know about one planet, yes, but what about second planet? In fact, maybe we bounce the probe around the solar system many times until it gets shaken out in any trajectory we want. The only problem is that the state of the solar system is set in stone, and it doesn't look particularly promising. Each planet can only affect our trajectory so much. It looks like maybe there might be something where we could hit the Twins, the Sun, and Brittle Hollow, but I think the biggest problem with that is the Brittle Hollow slingshot. Unfortunately, Brittle Hollow actually does have a pretty thick atmosphere, so we can't get too close, which means we can't bend that far. But what about the Twins? They are small, yes, but there is a unique aspect about them that may be relevant. Ember Twin's Big Canyon allows us to fly very close to the core, which should let us get a tighter turn, as long as we don't crash. And this is not something I'm going to be able to do cleanly, but it should be enough to convince you that this is not particularly promising. Considering how much thrust I was using, my trajectory wasn't altered significantly, and the atmosphere slowed me down considerably. But wait! There's one other hope. One other unsung hero of the solar system. Probably the most underrated astral body in the entire game. As soon as I thought of it, I almost deleted this entire video because it makes the whole thing irrelevant. It really should be the obvious answer to the question, and I'm disappointed in the Outer Wilds subreddit that I didn't see it once. Not once! I am, of course, talking about the white hole. It will just push us in any direction we want. We just have to bounce off at just the right angle. Except, no. Of course it's not going to work. The white hole doesn't have some sort of reverse gravitational force, it just magically stops you and sends you towards the white hole station at 7 meters per second. You know, for game design. So that's it then. I certainly convinced myself, and hopefully convinced you too, that there are potential locations of the eye in the solar system that the probe cannot rule out. there's absolutely no way for the probe to slingshot behind Giant's Deep. But is this a plot hole? No. The Nomai accounted for this possibility. Remember this dialogue? If anything goes wrong with the Ash Twin project. There you go. They would have just turned off the sun station, waited 30 seconds for the cannon to get to the other side of Giant's Deep, and turned it back on again. And for the hatchling, it's just lucky that the eye isn't behind Giant's Deep. Well, thanks for watching. Go forth and spread the word. The gravity slingshot theory is dead. Long live the gravity slingshot.